2025 has been one of the hardest years of Rick Harrison's life. To everyone, he is the tough Pawn Stars boss. But behind the scenes, he's been dealing with sadness, rumors of going to jail, and even Pawn Stars itself stopping. In February 2025, these problems aren't the only ones Rick has had to deal with in 2025, and now it looks like he is staying quiet. So where's he now? It's not what you'd think. On January 19th, 2024, Rick Harrison faced his biggest sadness yet. On that day, Rick got a call. Adam Harrison, his second son, had died. Adam was 39 years old, and when the results of the test came in, fans didn't know what to think about the news. They didn't know that Adam was having problems with drugs. Adam had died from an accidental overdose of fentanyl and methamphetamine in a Las Vegas guest house. Rick publicly blamed the border policies for his son's death. His death hurt Rick really badly, and the pain stayed with him. But in 2025, Rick has done something that could help him feel better. What did he do? Adam worked briefly at the gold and silver pawn shop, but stayed away from the Pawn Stars spotlight. Unlike Corey, Adam couldn't handle the busy and hectic life of his dad's pawn shop business, so he left. But he had problems with drug addiction for years, which Rick knew about. Rick even helped his son check into a rehab and was there during the recovery process. However, Adam's problems went deeper, and despite Rick's efforts, his problems took over him. Rick also has his own addiction problems. However, instead of drugs, Rick is addicted to his show, Pawn Stars. Pawn Stars debuted on July 19th, 2009, following the activities and drama of Rick Harrison's gold and silver pawn shop. Since it started, it has gone on to become one of the biggest shows on TV. In January 2011, it became the highest-rated program on the History Channel and the second highest-rated reality show behind Jersey Shore. Rick Harrison rode hard on the success of the show, and on June 7th, 2011, he published a biography called License to Pawn: Deals, Steals in My Life at the Gold and Silver. His book was an instant hit, and by June 26th, 2011, it reached number 22 on the New York Times bestseller list. With that taste of success, Rick tried to be at his best to keep his success going. However, Rick is far from being perfect, and he has done things that have hurt his reputation, and we'll talk about them soon. You could even say some of the choices he has made helped make 2025 a tough year for him. Despite being a successful show, in February 2025, Rick made a shocking announcement. The History Channel that aired the show didn't offer Rick and his crew a new contract. The iconic show, which has led to popular spin-offs like American Restoration, Cajun Pawn Stars, and Counting Cars, is now without a home. However, Rick isn't giving up. He believes he can still get the show up and running. He is working towards starting filming again and exploring other ways to change the show in what he described as Pawn Stars 2.0. So instead of saying the show has gotten canceled, Rick would say it was taking an indefinite pause. Will Pawn Stars be back on air, or have we seen the last of it? What will happen to the cast of the show if filming can't start again? Rick and his Pawn Stars co-star, Austin Chumlee Russell, have tied their futures to making content around the show. In February 2025, they created a podcast, Pawn After Dark, which is not officially connected with history. That way, they can avoid legal problems while they wait to start filming again. Although no matter what happens to the show, Corey Big Hoss Harrison, Rick's first son, is done with it. Is this a sign that the show wouldn't start filming again? Corey is a big part of the show. Why would he just give up on it like that? Also, with Adam dead and Corey leaving, how would Rick handle where he currently is? Corey revealed recently that he isn't in any contract renewal talks and doesn't want to be. Did something happen behind the scenes between him and his dad that they are not telling us? If there is, this wouldn't be the first time the Harrison family members would cause drama or have fights over the show. We'll tell you about their biggest fight yet real. Soon, reports show that it's not about the show for Corey. He has moved away from Las Vegas to Tulum, Mexico. My dad will work until the day he collapses. That's just not me, Corey said. After the show got paused and saw that his father and friend Chumlee weren't moving on. After filming 22 seasons, he packed up his bag and left. Corey didn't leave so he could go work in Mexico. He left for Tulum because he feels like he has earned a long vacation. How much could he have saved up? Does he have any plans to work? Tulum is a popular vacation spot on the Caribbean coastline of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. It is famous for its beaches and well-preserved ruins of an ancient Mayan city. So Corey is spending his days relaxing without a care in the world. But he slipped up. He suggested that Pawn Stars wasn't real. Shocking, isn't it? Why would Corey make that kind of suggestion? You'll find out soon. At Tulum, Corey is preparing to start a business. And no, it isn't anything related to Pawn Stars. He is working with investors around Tulum to create a barbecue restaurant business. He even has a name for this place, Big Haas's Smoking Joint. Does he have the experience to run a barbecue business in the area? He is a big celebrity and the important government officials and politicians are hanging out with him. Maybe Big Haas is counting on his celebrity status to help him get customers who would support him the way he has been entertained. However, while Rick was able to defend himself from that incident, he has been accused of putting down, dismissing, and disrespecting his customers. He offers customers prices so low that they would often feel offended. In an episode of the show titled Another Christmas Story, a customer visited a store because he wanted to buy an NBA championship ring. Rick had a 1975 Golden State Warriors ring studded with diamonds on display in it. Caught the customer's eye. What the customer didn't know was Rick kept the ring in the store for his fiancée, whom he later got engaged to. Rick was already annoyed that someone wanted to buy the ring. Since it had that much meaning to him, why not just take it off display? Rick gave details about the ring to the customer, but the atmosphere became tense when the customer wanted to know if the ring was real. The customer wanted to do his own test to know if the ring was real, using his own diamond tester, which is a reasonable thing to do. However, Rick got angry that the customer wouldn't take his word for it. He was very upset. While the customer tried to check the diamond's quality using his own diamond tester, the customer finally saw that the diamonds on the rings were real. Rick then named a final price tag of $11,000. After the customer offered $5,500, Rick didn't budge and the customer left the shop feeling disappointed by Rick's unwillingness to work with him on the price. He was surprised by how Rick had a confrontational attitude and thought that Rick was going to beat him up. The customer wouldn't be the only person to have that kind of feeling when dealing with Rick. On June 22nd, a customer walked into the gold and silver pawn shop. It would have been a normal interaction if Rick Harrison could have just kept his annoyance and temper in check. The customer and Rick were doing business, but when they were talking about price, Rick suddenly lost his temper, and he and the customer began to have a heated argument. Unfortunately, their fight didn't end at an argument. It became a full-blown physical fight. Rick began to supposedly threaten to beat up the customer, who eventually left the store for their own safety. But they didn't forgive Rick for threatening them, and they immediately called the police. When they left the store, the police arrested Rick and charged him in court. When news broke that Rick was arrested on a misdemeanor charge of attempted battery, his fans were shocked. The Rick they thought they knew wouldn't try to attack a customer. Rick was charged in court and he pleaded guilty to the offense he committed. Rick said that he regretted what happened and that he was ashamed. He promised to be more professional from then on. The court sentenced him to 2 years of probation and 30 days of community service. His legal trouble joined the long list of legal problems that the cast of Pawn Stars have faced. His reputation took a hit because it seemed like people didn't know Rick as much as they thought they did. His guilty plea, while minor compared to other Pawn Stars cast scandals, was still something many didn't expect, just as people didn't expect Chumlee, the show's comic relief, to face a major scandal in March 2016. The police got a call in March that Chumlee had sexually assaulted a woman. So, the police went to his home in Las Vegas to investigate the sexual assault claim. They couldn't find evidence for the sexual assault claim. No charges were filed, but police found something else entirely. Crystal meth, marijuana, Xanax, and antidepressant. Multiple firearms, both legal and illegal ones, were found in Chumlee's house. Police immediately arrested him and charged him in court on 20 felony counts. When news channels reported Chumlee's scandal, fans were shocked. Chumlee was the show's playful guy, and his happy personality clashed with what the police found in his house and the serious charges that followed. With Chumlee's arrest, the show's family-friendly image took a big hit. Chumlee temporarily left the show as he took a plea deal in May 2016. He pleaded guilty to a felony weapons charge and a misdemeanor attempted drug possession charge. Chumlee was sentenced to 3 years of probation. This meant that he had to stay out of trouble until 2019 if he wanted the felony to be dismissed. Chumlee was also ordered to attend counseling sessions and gave up his guns and drugs to avoid jail time. Chumlee returned to Pawn Stars later on, and luckily for him, he wasn't arrested since then, which meant he followed. People thought he was the kind of guy to avoid getting into trouble, but they were wrong. In 2023, Corey was driving his white Ford pickup near Main Street and Charleston Boulevard around 2 o'clock a.m., but was swerving between lanes. A police officer saw the way he was driving and thought something was wrong. So, he decided to stop Corey. When the police came up to Corey, he smelled of alcohol, and his eyes were blood red and watery. The police suspected Corey had been drinking, but Corey denied that he had been drinking all night. He said he had a drink 7 hours earlier. The police asked him to step out of his vehicle and did a field sobriety test that Corey failed, so the police arrested him. Corey's night was far from over. He was put in jail, but the breathalyzer at the jail was broken and the police had to take a blood sample from him. Corey was released after making bail and was lucky that his case didn't go to trial. Could Corey have the same kind of addiction problem that Adam had? Is there more family drama to come from Rick's family? In 2022, Rick's mother accused him of stealing, among other things, and she sued him. Then came a revelation that made fans hold their breath. His mother claimed that Rick wasn't the owner of the gold and silver pawn shop. According to her, she was the real owner. Joanne revealed that when her husband opened the store in 1989, she owned a 51% stake in the business, while her husband owned 49%. She said when she got sick in the early 2000s and was hospitalized, Rick brought documents to her to sign over her stake in the business. According to Joanne, she wasn't in her right mind and didn't fully understand what she was doing meant. She said she didn't know that she had transferred control of the business to Rick. So when her husband Richard Harrison died in 2018, Joanne believed she had inherited his 49% stake and was the owner of the business. In her belief, Rick was her employee and should have given her complete financial documentation. But she claimed Rick refused to do so and had been mismanaging the company's assets. She accused Rick of taking out a $3 million loan by using her assets as collateral. And that wasn't all. She also accused him of not accounting for more than $100,000 in cash and $500,000 in silver Richard had before his death. Her accusations against Rick kept getting worse. According to her, Rick had been paying her a monthly allowance of $25,000 from the business, then reduced to $20,000 per month before, reducing it to $85,000 for the entire year of 2020 during the COVID pandemic. Eventually, she claimed, Rick stopped giving her anything, and because of this, she found it difficult to pay for her $15,000 per month due to her ongoing health needs. Things were already bad, and they got even worse when Joanne filed a temporary restraining order against Rick in March 2022. She wanted to stop Rick from taking any money from the business